Nigel Farage has once again publicly humiliated Keir Starmer in an exclusive live interview. Standing in front of a packed hall, Farage held nothing back, delivering some of his harshest rebukes against Starmer. Without further delay, let's dive into how Farage mercilessly took on Starmer. And don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel to stay up to date on the latest from the UK political scene.
On an American network, whether Sir Keir Starmer had got off to an uncertain start as British Prime Minister. I said no. No, there's no doubt at all. He has got off to the worst start of any Prime Minister in living memory. They are a complete shower.
Nigel Farage has not hesitated to strongly criticise Keir Starmer, claiming that his policies are bringing about the worst possible start in the history of any UK Prime Minister. According to Farage, Starmer's approach is not only weak, but dangerously misguided, steering the UK down a disastrous path. He accuses the Labour Party under Starmer's leadership of gradually eroding the core values of Britain, weakening the institutions that form the very foundation of the nation's identity and stability. Labour's agenda, Farage asserts, is nothing short of an assault on the fundamental pillars of British society. Farage has openly criticised Labour's policies, particularly highlighting their direct impact on key segments of British society, including farmers, small businesses, and private sector workers. He points out that these groups are bearing the brunt of severe regulations and an unjust tax system. Farage warns that these policies are stifling the country's growth and driving down the living standards of the working class. If this trend isn't halted, he cautions, the future of the United Kingdom will not only be concerning but exceedingly bleak. Farage also warns that the Labour Party has intentions to dismantle family farms, an integral part of rural history and culture. He recounts a chance encounter while out walking his dog, where he met a woman from a family-run farm. She shared that her family had been farming for 6 generations, yet they now face an uncertain future. She also mentioned her 13-year-old son, who is staring down an increasingly uncertain future because of government policies. Farage asks his audience to imagine the severe consequences these policies will have on Welsh farming families, where generations have been tied to the land. He asserts that Labour is directly targeting landowners, property holders, and those with savings, aiming to undermine their financial independence. Farage also criticises Labour for its lack of respect for personal success and effort. He believes that ideas like a 4-day work week or remote working are empty theories that are unworkable in practice. In Farage's view, these notions are not only unrealistic, but reflect a government out of touch with the everyday realities of its citizens. He insists that the country is sliding into severe economic decline, with the situation worsening by the day, year after year. While national debt has skyrocketed under Conservative leadership, he believes the crisis has yet to peak. Farage goes on to point out that in 6 of the last 8 quarters, the UK's GDP has fallen, starkly reflecting a decline in living standards and wealth. He warns that the UK is undergoing a recession not only economically but socially. While minor theft often goes unpunished and drug issues, particularly Class A substances, become increasingly uncontrollable, the government remains preoccupied with absurd regulations like banning smoking in pubs and private gardens. For Farage, this represents a severe governmental failure to address the truly critical issues facing society. He also criticises the current budget for punishing those working in the private sector, while public sector workers enjoy job security and comprehensive protections. Farage notes that public sector employees such as civil servants in Whitehall have guaranteed jobs and robust pensions, while private sector workers, who are directly contributing to economic growth, are burdened by taxes and restrictive regulations. To Farage, this situation is a clear recipe for making Britain poorer and more backward. However, according to Farage, the main reason for this decline is the overwhelming level of immigration into the country. He believes the relentless surge of incoming migrants has presented the United Kingdom with a challenge it has never faced before. This increase in immigrant numbers is surpassing the nation's ability to control it, leading to profound changes in society, changes that even the most optimistic among us could never have imagined. Farage argues that this lack of control will bring unforeseen consequences for the country's future. In the past 2 decades, the UK's population has grown by 10 million people, with 85% of that increase resulting from immigration. The effects of this growth are undeniably unavoidable. Is it any wonder that getting an appointment with a GP has become a major challenge? Is it surprising that today's younger generation can barely dream of home ownership, as the prospect of securing their own property becomes ever more distant? And can we truly be shocked that in many towns and cities, community values, cohesion and unity seem to weaken by the day? Yet, all these issues are rarely given the serious attention they deserve. For more than a century, Labour has dominated Wales, and to this day, a Labour-led government holds power. So what exactly has Labour offered to the people? An NHS that's deteriorating at a rate twice as severe as in England, an education system in steep decline, and policies that frankly seem absurd. Yes, absurd. The so-called wokery, a political trend focused on diversity, equality and inclusion, has been taken way too far. The attempt to transform Lloyd George's house into an LGBT-friendly space, for example, completely contradicts the values he once represented. To put it politely, this is a glaring inconsistency. The principles of diversity and equality, which should have been guiding values, are now being used as justification in all areas of public governance in Wales. But in reality, people don't care about what colour you are, which religion you follow, or what you do in your private life. These things aren't what matter. What truly matters is whether you are the right fit for this community, whether you share common values, whether you follow the law and accept the enormous taxes that the government continues to impose on its people. And yet, the current policies are dividing this country. The Labour government is working to split the nation into 2 distinct groups, those who benefit and those who bear the burden. This is Labour's real goal, to divide the country into opposing factions. Policy failures are undeniable. Take the implementation of a 20 mph speed limit in numerous areas, which has outraged the public. A petition against it has gained nearly 500,000 signatures from the people of Wales. This decision not only stirs public discontent, but also seriously damages the local economy. The situation in Port Talbot makes the government's failure even clearer. Wales will no longer be the steel manufacturing hub of the nation. Instead, a green steel plant recycling old steel is planned, completely different from traditional steel production. Furthermore, the commitment to achieving net zero emissions is pushing the government into an even deeper crisis. The current administration seems oblivious to the consequences that green energy policies will bring. Ed Miliband, who has previously failed disastrously in policy, has now returned, despite his inability to solve the issues. In the past, he promised that green energy would reduce household energy bills, but now electricity prices are soaring. Wind farm auctions have cost twice as much as anticipated, and future energy prices are only set to rise. Particularly when the wind doesn't blow, we must import electricity from other countries, making the UK dependent on an unreliable external energy supply. UK electricity prices are currently the highest in the world, substantially increasing the cost of living for the public. Mass immigration is also a major cause of social discontent. Every year, thousands of illegal immigrants cross the English Channel, many of them young, able-bodied men who come with intentions to engage in criminal activities, thereby increasing crime and social unrest.